Good day to everyone, to our board of panelists, to Professor Jojo Baltasar, to Professor Flor de Lisa Ferrer, to Professor Jeswani Christine F. Rosero Valisi, and lastly, to Professor Bridget Rodriguez. I am Omar S. Agabao, and I would like to greet you all a pleasant day. Today, we will be presenting our research study titled Perception on the Greenhouse Gases Emissions Base Reference for a Climate Change Program. Together with my groupmate, Sir Diana Ruben Jr., Ma'am Jessa Gaon, Ma'am Ronalie Mako, Sir Eddie Marantal Jr., Sir Warren Pimentel, and lastly, Ma'am Jacqueline Sundo. For the introduction and background of the study, according to Alizeri and others 2017, global warming, less water supply, drought, and all that linked to climate change, which is mostly caused by human activities, the climate is continually changing as a result of variety of natural factors. Human activity has become a emerging component that has been influencing the Earth's climate increasingly over the last 200 years, with greenhouse gases emission being the primary cause of these changes. And today, climate change is the term used scientists to describe the complex shift driven by greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are compound gases that trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere. The researcher conducted this study as a concern on global crisis through raising awareness regarding greenhouse gases emission on the Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Science students of Taguig City University. Significance of this study could benefit the following: Commission on Higher Education, Taguig government, community, student, and the future researchers. This could help the individual beneficiary to develop a program, enhance environmental practices, and apply alternative ways on the reduction of these greenhouse gases. That's it for introduction and background. May I call on Ronaldin Mako for the theoretical framework.
For the research theoretical framework, increasing evidence for a statistically meaningful increase in global temperature over the past 50 years has been accompanied by remarkably accurate observations of rising atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations, as well as significant advancement in climate and regenerative modeling. It seems that greenhouse gases are now acknowledged as the main factor contributing to global climate warming. The mitigation and adaptation framework is the widely accepted conceptual model for society's response to climate change. The actions we take to reduce the atmospheric emissions of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide are referred to as mitigation. Moving towns and roads is part of our adaptation strategy in response to climate change. An integration framework for climate change. An integrated evaluation system for taking into account anthropogenic climate change is represented schematically and simply. The blue arrow denotes society's response to the effects of climate change, while the yellow arrows depict a full circular cycle of cause and effect among the four quadrants represented in the illustration. Each socio-economic development path examined in the special report on emission scenarios has driving forces that result in emissions of greenhouse gases, aerosols, and precursors, with carbon dioxide being the most significant. This is true for both developed and developing nations. As a result of physical processes like nation radiation, cloud formation, and rainfall, greenhouse gas emissions build up in the atmosphere, changing concentrations and upsetting natural balances. The aerosols also contribute to air pollution such as acid rain, which harms both natural and human systems. Future climate changes brought on by the increased greenhouse effect will have an impact on both natural and societal systems. It is possible that there will be some feedback between the modifications of these systems and the climate, such as the effect of altered land use as well as others, possibly more significant interactions between the system and atmospheric emissions. In the end, these modifications will impact the routes taken for socioeconomic progress. The anti-clockwise arrow from the development box indicates that the development paths also have direct effects on the natural systems. For example, changes in land use can result in deforestation. This diagram shows how the many aspects of the climate change problem operate in dynamic cycle with noticeable time lags. For instance, complex relationships exist between underlying socioeconomic and technological growth trajectories, and both their emissions and consequences.
A pleasant day, panelists. I'm Warren Pimentel, a researcher of Group 3. I am here to provide a brief discussion on the methodology utilized by the researchers of this study. On research design, the researchers have used quantitative research method on determining the level of awareness of the students of Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Science at Taguig City University on mitigating the emission of greenhouse gases on the Earth's atmosphere through the use of survey questionnaires they have answered. Next is the population. The respondents of this study are the population of Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Science at Taguig City University in school year 2021 to 2022. A total of 151 population have responded, both male and female, at all levels. Then the statistical treatment of data. For the extraction and interpretation of the data and values gathered by the researchers from the respondents on the survey given, the total average weighted mean is computed in order to attain the overall verbal interpretation of the responses based on each indicators, which are the major contributors of greenhouse gas emissions. And the last one is the arbitrary scale of values. The researchers have used the Likert scale composed of rating and verbal interpretations to interpret the scores and the computed average weighted mean of the data gathered from the respondents. That is all for the methodology of this study. Thank you.
Good day, Board of Panelists. I am Jacqueline Sundo and I will discuss the statement of the problem. Significantly, it seeks to answer the following question. Statement of the problem number 1 asks the profile of the student based on their age, sex, and year level. And the statement of the problem number 2 asks the level of awareness of the respondents on the greenhouse gas emission in terms of agriculture and livestock, fuel combustion, industry, and household, as these are the major contributors on the emission sources of greenhouse gases on the Earth's atmosphere. Statement of the problem number 3 asks the recommendation of the following researcher on the process program about climate change. Through this, the researcher are able to perceive the level of awareness in the student of Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Science in Taguig City University, as this study aimed to impart knowledge and share some alternative ways on how the gas emission affect climate change and can be used as a basis for a climate change program. According to Alurize et al. 2017, Bayer 2015, and Women et 2019, gas emission caused by human activity have become the key emerging component that influences climate change. Thank you. And next is the findings and conclusion to be discussed by Mr. Ruben Diana Jr.
Here are the findings and conclusion of the study. The researchers employed a quantitative research method to determine the knowledge of Bachelor of Secondary Education major in science students. For the SOP1, the results are according to the demographic profile. Most of the respondents are between the ages of 21 to 25. It shows that the female students are the most responsive, and based on the result of the study, mostly first year Bachelor of Secondary Education major in science students had the highest participation rate. For the SOP2, the study revealed that most of the respondents are aware of reducing greenhouse gas emission in terms of agricultural and livestock, fuel combustion, industry, and household. The research study also found out that the respondents are knowledgeable about greenhouse gases and ways on how to reduce it. For the SOP3, based on the findings, the researchers proposed a climate change development program for the Taguig City University's Bachelor of Secondary Education major in science students to further enhance their knowledge and change their behavior towards the environment. That's all.
Good day, panelists. I am Jessa Sigaon and I will discuss the recommendation. After conducting this study, the following recommendations were formulated by the researchers. Since individuals contribute on the emissions of greenhouse gases, the researchers have recommended a proposed climate change development program titled Earth Has Fever. Is a man a virus? This aims to educate students and raise awareness on developing alternative ways on mitigating emissions. It also helped them to become a well-informed citizen whom provide suggestions on lowering carbon footprint from human activities. This will be a way on educating them to take responsibility for their actions that affect on the environment. This study can be put into a practice by internalizing the proposed climate change development program by learning from it and taking it into action.
Good day, everyone, to our panelists and to my co-researchers. Okay, I am Eddie Mantal Jr. and I am here to present the output of the research. So the researchers have proposed a climate change development program for Bachelor of Secondary Education major in science students at Taguig City University. So the program provided a mixture of theory and practice of thinking and doing and opportunities to share ideas and resources with other participants through discussion forum or by means of webinar. So based on the findings of this study, this design program a webinar titled The Earth Has a Fever, Is Man a Virus? The goal of this program is to educate students, provide ideas to reduce their contributions to the issue such as on the greenhouse gas emissions. So the objectives of this program is to raise awareness about gas emissions, to develop their own understanding of mitigation skills in reducing gas emissions such as carbon, methane, and nitrous oxide, to identify their own alternative ways, and to help for the betterment of climate change to enable students to apply the learning and mitigation skills in their everyday life. So let us come to the program itself and its topics. So the title is The Earth Has a Fever, Is Man a Virus? It includes the topic about understanding greenhouse gases emissions, am I a contributor, effects on the environment, what can we do? So it has a duration of 2 to 3 hours. So for the proponents of this program are the researchers of Taguig City University College of Education, third year BSc Science students. So that would be all. Thank you.